Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Nourishing Your Life Force with Wudang Qigong. Yang Sheng practices to cultivate qi for strength, balance, and longevity. My name is Stephen Dine. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I'm delighted to be on an exploration of the great blessings and gifts from ancient Qigong practices for our modern lives. And we're going to get to explore with a really innovative and beloved teacher in this realm. Her name is Lindsey Wei. She's a martial arts and Qigong instructor and founder of Wudang White Horse Martial Arts School. She's taught a couple of programs now for Shift and has really gotten great feedback. So we're excited to have her back. So Lindsey, thanks for coming back again.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I'm really happy to be here.
Great. Well, I'm excited as well. And I should want to let everyone know right up front that we have a brand new program with Lindsey that's going to be launching soon. And we'll hear more about it towards the end of the hour. It's called The Taoist Art of Longevity with Wudang Qigong. So more to come if you get sparked by today. So Lindsey, I'd love to begin our time together with a little bit about your journey into Qigong and the lineage that you're holding and why that's has such important wisdom practices for us now in this modern era.
Yeah, so I originally got on this path when I was much younger. I was 18, and I really felt an inner knowing that the prescribed path of society wasn't quite right for me. And based on that feeling, I followed that and traveled to China to discover my heritage. That's what I thought at the time. I didn't know what else to do, and I just kind of took a leap of faith and traveled to China. I'm half Chinese, and so I wanted to discover more about that part of myself. And that really launched me on this path I started training martial arts in Beijing and then Shaolin, and I eventually heard of the Wudang Mountains. Once I arrived at the Wudang Mountains, I knew that that was the style for me. I think that the piece that really felt complete was that in Wudang, their practice of Qigong, martial arts, sword, weapons, it's all closely interrelated with Taoism. So it had this spiritual component as well as this, very utilitarian use, both for self-defense, but also health and longevity. And then it also had that spiritual purpose behind it. There were temples, all around the mountain slopes and so much to explore. And I eventually then met my shifu, who became really like a major figure in my life, almost like a second father figure. And he really taught me everything that I now teach today. Everything began to come together and make sense when I met him. He is a Taoist renunciant who is the abbot of the Five Immortals Temple, a little bit off the beaten path in the Wudang Mountain Range. And I continued to study with him there one-on-one. I was one of the first foreigners that he ever accepted as a disciple, and spent a period of 6 years there, living full time with him, learning. And now that is what I teach at my school, Wudang White Horse. And it's really everything to me. It's provided me so much, and it's what gives me purpose and fulfilling my vision in life to share it with others.
Hmm. Well, it's very fortuitous that you sought those roots in China and brought back such a deep dive into Wudang Qigong. I want to ask, before we get into some of the specific practice today, a little bit about that Taoist background and influence. For those who are less familiar, what are some of the key spiritual principles that are informing and flowing into this practice?
Yeah, so I think aside from the cultural context, which is a huge component of it, so that context of worldview of Taoism, which is valuing a life of simplicity, valuing the health of our body and our mind over the pursuit of success or reputation, fame, and from ancient times to modern times, a lot has changed throughout the way that society views spirituality. It's been influenced in so many ways, but ultimately what it is whenever we, whether it's practice Qigong, practice martial arts, practice a Taoist ritual, practice Chinese medicine, or a branch of that which we call Taoist medicine, it still maintains this spiritual connection, this empowerment from the formless realm. That's usually done through ritual, mantra, talisman, hand seal, these traditional ritual arts that, when we see in modern medicine or modern healing, we see that some of those spiritual components have, in the mainstream, been extracted out. And so I think this evolution, this co-evolution of Qigong, movement arts, martial arts with Taoism is really that intactness where we still have all of it within. So it's not just physical movements or just herbal medicine. It's movements and medicine empowered through the power of the mind and our connection to spirit or the formless, mysterious realm. And it allows that to have space within it.
That was a great overview. And maybe share a little bit about what makes Wudang Qigong kind of unique in its approach and how that is going to inform the practices we're going to do today.
I think that the kind of the lineage and the origins in Wudang, the uniqueness really does lie in that intactness of the sort of authentic lineage, right? Where we know exactly where all of these forms, movements, concepts, and principles come from. It's a very clear line. It's even a clear line of single disciple transmission for most of its history. There are some breaks in that lineage, but that means that each master in the generation transmitted the entirety of their knowledge and wisdom to at least one person to carry that forward. And that continued on generation after generation. And so I think that the uniqueness here is really the power of that origin. And we do think of, so Qigong is quite universal, and a lot of Qigong postures and principles are the same. And I think the uniqueness to each style or lineage or school lies in that inherent power of the accumulated wisdom that's been passed down. So it either has that in a clear way or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. And maybe share some about the Yang Sheng practices and what those specifically are geared towards.
Yeah, so Yang Sheng is a specific, I guess you could say, branch of Qigong that is, it's about life nourishment. And Yang Sheng itself is a principle. So Yang means to cultivate, and Sheng is life. So to cultivate life, which in this case is this life force energy or qi, this electrical current that flows through us, flows through all things, it's that which makes us alive and animate. And so it's understanding what that is, understanding how to preserve that. And that preservation is what gives us a long life or longevity. And, the idea of longevity, to have a long life, it's really about maintaining clarity of mind and the health of the body so that we can have as good of an experience, as rich of an experience here on earth during this lifetime to elevate ourselves, to relate to others, have the human experience without what we might call suffering of natural aging. So losing clarity of mind, losing memory, inability to engage with the things in life that we want to engage with if our body is deteriorating. And so that's really the point of longevity. And on a spiritual path, the longer we have for that sublimation process, and the healthier and more efficient the vehicle of our body and our mind is, the more chance we have to sublimate and to elevate our mind.
Mm-hmm. It might be obvious to a lot of folks, but I think it might be interesting just to hear your reflection on why that working upstream on our energy and vitality has such a beneficial downstream effect on longevity and overall health of your body.
I think it's really simple. Yang Sheng lifestyle is really about paying attention to your environment, to your diet, to your relationships, how all of that is affecting your emotions, your sleep. So it's really quite simple, living with the seasons, and all it really is kind of accepting that life is a timeline where we have a finite amount of life force energy or qi that keeps us alive. And that life force has, according to Chinese medicine, very specific developmental shifts and changes where, so for women, it's in years of 7, and for men, it's in years of 8. And you progress through these developmental shifts as the Jing and the Qi change. And, once we reach a certain age, about 35 for women, 40 for men, that begins to decline. And this is just nature. This is the experience of life that we're in. And something like, like a savings account where if we're spending, and never preserving, then we might not realize that until it's too late. But if we can understand the importance of preserving our health, our body, and our mind early, then that really pays off later in our savings account, where we still have vitality left later in life to do the things that are important to us and be with our loved ones longer, or whatever it might be. I think that it's really just society kind of ushers us and funnels us in a different direction, which is expenditure of our life force energy. And so I think that's why Yang Sheng principles of life cultivation are really important. And as you say, it's kind of against the current, against the stream that society kind of funnels us into.
Hmm. So when you're beginning the Yang Sheng practices, how important is it to be able to actually feel the energy you're working with, or is it like doing the motions and poses enough to really sort of start to cultivate things?
Well, in the traditional way that I was taught in China, it's actually not important for you to understand it, to feel it. What matters the most is to do it day by day and have constancy in that and perseverance. And however, I find, especially with our Western mind, and as a beginner, if you can feel energy, you can feel the qi, you can feel the effect within a few days of starting, then this, of course, is going to give you that motivation, that sense of understanding, that sense of accomplishment. And so in that regard, it is important. However, if a person, is one of those people who struggles to feel qi, struggles to feel much of anything happening during meditation. Another one that I hear sometimes is those who struggle with visualization. So those are two common things that come up where a person begins their Qigong path or seated meditation path, but they can't really visualize, and a lot of the methods involve visualization, and they can't really feel anything happening inside of their body at first. So this gives them nothing really to hang on to, right? Maybe they feel like they don't understand the practice. And so that kind of leads me into what I wanted to share today, which is a very practical way that people can enhance that ability to feel qi. We call it Qigong, which is just like the feeling or the sensation of qi. And additionally, we can practice visualization at the same time.
Great.
Yeah.
If you want to go, I know you would want to back up a little bit and do it from a different seat so people can see better. So you want to do that now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so one more comment on visualization before we get into it. So I think that the term visualization, I'm going to try using a slightly different verbiage for that to anyone who feels like they don't understand what visualization is, or have struggled to do it in the past. But really, this idea of visualization, when we say it in Chinese, it's called 吞想. And so 吞想 might better be translated as existing in, or abiding in is sometimes the way that it's translated. And it does involve this function of the mind that is almost like a simulation or a projection of images. And that's actually how our mind constantly works. It's one of the greatest powers of the mind. And it really just takes practice. But I wanted to point out that it's something that we all do in every moment because it's how the mind works. So if we call it existing in rather than visualizing, I think that might assist. And sometimes people will use the word like imagine. So, imagine that you are, feeling that you're pushing against a table, right? And I think that the term imagine is tricky too, because we have connotations with that where we think to imagine is something which is not real, right? It's not real and tangible. However, it's my belief that imagination, just like visualization or existing in, using the mind to picture something, is a type of reality created and can create matter and substance. So I just wanted to throw that out there before we get into it, because there is a bit of this existing in that is necessary to feel something which is hard to feel, something which is formless, such as qi. So just to get into it, I want us to warm up our wrists, fingers, and forearm. To bring qi and blood to this area is going to be part of what allows us to feel. So let's just start by, you can stay seated or you can stand. We're just going to lift and lower the arm if you can. If you can't go all the way up, that's fine too. Just doing what you can. And we're going to flex the wrist down and then flex the wrist up, almost just like petting the air. And starting to connect to your breathing. Just following the inhale into the lower abdomen, and then an even, balanced exhale. Then let's go ahead and we're just going to circle the wrist to start. Circling in one direction. You don't have to make a tight fist at this moment. It can be loose. Let's go opposite direction. Then we're going to swim out and swim in, and we're just rotating the wrist left and right as we do that. Good. So next, I want to go through a finger spread into a complete fist. What we're going to do is you can just open and close to start, open and close. And I want to talk a little bit about what is a complete fist. In Kung Fu and martial arts, we have a very specific formation in our fist that if you've never done martial arts before, this might feel a little bit different at first. But essentially, you're going to close all 4 fingers and then thumb closed over the knuckles of those 4 fingers. Then we want to extend it forward and straighten out the wrist. So there should be a straightness through the top of the wrist and not bent back like this. And if you were to just kind of punch into the palm of your opposite hand, it should feel flat. So we don't want any fingers protruding further forward than the others. It's nice and flat. Now, this is important for the health of our finger joints. And that's because if we have any inflammation or arthritis, eventually we won't be able to make a complete fist. And so if we practice that throughout our life, maintaining that range of motion, then that will help with circulation and avoiding stagnation or inflammation in the joints of the fingers, right? So it just so happens that a lot of the exercises we're going to do today happen to be physical therapy exercises for if you experience tendonitis in the wrist or arthritis or carpal tunnel. So these are exercises that can prevent that, but also help alleviate pain if you do experience that. So we're going to go finger by finger, pinky, ring finger, middle, pointer, curling those nice and tight, and then close the thumb over top. And then you're going to squeeze really tight in your fist and forearm. Everything else stays relaxed. This is something we do a lot in Tai Chi, in Tai Chi. We want to relax through the shoulder, bicep, and then isolate tension from the forearm, wrist into the finger. So we're squeezing really hard through there right now. And then release. And you can shake it out. So let's try that, both hands at the same time. Closing finger by finger. Squeeze as tight as you can. And feeling that tension, feeling what it feels like to squeeze all the way through the forearm and the fist. And then release. You can shake it out in between if you need to. One more time. Finger by finger. And close. And make sure that the thumb is tucked in front of the flat of the middle part of the fingers. So below this knuckle. So then we're going to inhale. Then we're going to turn our palms to face us. And then we're going to go down finger by finger, like pulling down through the elbow, squeezing, and then expel. You can exhale, almost like you're flicking water off of your fingertips. So it's going to be inhale, turn palms towards yourself, close the fist while pulling down, holding the breath, and then exhale through the mouth forward. One more time, the breathing, there is a breath hold. So inhale, hold the breath, tighten into a fist, finger by finger, and expel through the mouth. One more time. Inhale. Hold breath. Exhale through the mouth. Good. Okay. So that is all in order to bring qi and blood into the hands. So now we're going to enter into the main practice here that when I was younger, when I was first starting out on this path and I didn't understand anything yet, I couldn't feel qi. And a lot of my teachers couldn't really explain it to me. This is before I had met my Shifu. And so these exact exercises were what I first started feeling qi in my hands first through this exercise. So I hope that it will also be beneficial for the viewers and for you. So what we're going to do is imagine that the palm of the hands are like two opposing magnets. So we have palm to palm. This is called the Lao Gong point. And we're feeling that there is an opposition, like if you've ever held two magnets opposing to each other, there's a puffiness. It feels like a puffiness to me. And we're going to let that feeling, sensation that we are conjuring, that we're existing in, using our mind to exist in, or imagine or visualize, we feel that. And even if we don't feel it, we continue to, as if we do. We're going to let that push our palms apart. At first, it's good to move slowly so you can breathe naturally. It doesn't have to coordinate with this outward expansion. You just allow the hands to flow apart slowly as if some other force is pushing them apart. It can sometimes also feel like like two balloons expanding out. You continue to allow that expansion to occur naturally until you feel that you've reached a limit. Maybe the hands have expanded quite a bit. Then we're going to compress inwards on that same feeling like we're holding two opposing magnets and there's a force between our hands. And we're now compressing inward on that force. Eyes can be closed or open. When I first started doing this for many days in meditation, I could see the qi as well as feel it between my palms. But at first, it's also fine to close the eyes and focus internally. When you get back to palms almost touching, you're going to repeat and allow that force to expand. It's almost like sending a message to the arms to slowly expand, and then they expand on their own. Natural breathing. And then compress. Now, you can also move slightly faster if you like. If you're really feeling something between the palms at this speed, continue like that. If you want to try this next speed, you can link it with your breathing, harmonize it with your breathing. So we're going to inhale, expand, moving at a slightly faster pace. Exhale, contract. Inhale, opening the arms. Exhale, contract. Now, we're going to flex our fingers like a dragon's claw, like a dragon's talon. And it's like we're pulling apart strings like rubber bands. On the inhale, and then on the exhale, go ahead, relax your fingers. Movement called elixir qi opens and closes. This is a Qigong posture. Then tension through the fingertips, rounding them like a dragon's talon, pulling apart strings. And then relax the fingers, exhale and compress. Let's do that 3 times. 1. 2. 3. Exhale and compress. Okay, let's hold right here, almost like holding a ball of light. And we're going to go into another exercise, again, designed to bring qi and blood to the fingers, hands. It's a way of activating the tendons and the ligaments. Okay, so we're going to select the palm as if setting it down, pushing down on a tabletop, and pulling back through my elbows. I have flexed palms, and I'm going to expand all 5 fingers, stretching them as wide as I can, almost so that it turns white in between the knuckles. You can kind of look down and see in between the knuckles turning white. We're going to hold this for around 10 seconds. So persevere. There should be, I think, a burning sensation, a little bit of fatigue. You can decide how much effort you put in. But if you want, you can expand all 5 fingers to your max ability. Good, then we're going to relax and raise the arms up. If you'd like, you can have them at chest level. It's a little bit more work for the heart and the blood pressure. So if that is causing you to feel dizzy or tired, you can lower them at any time. However, if you like, you can keep them here too. So now we're going to do that same motion where we expand, breathing in, contract, breathing out. So now we're going to change slightly. I'm going to turn to the side here so you can see. And we're going to now rotate through the wrist, palms down. And we're going to reach forward as if we're pushing our fingers through a wall of mud. So here's where that existing in, that abiding in, visualization, however we refer to it, comes in. Now, when you reach the extreme of this stretch, you're going to turn palms back to face each other and then drawing arms back in as if pulling the fingertips back through that wall of mud. And then we're going to expand. Now this movement is called the spring silkworm spit silk. Compress in, rotate palms down, pushing the fingers through a wall of mud. To the extremity then, rotate palms back in and pull the hands back through that wall of mud. And open. In Tai Chi and in Qigong, we do use this method a lot where we imagine the texture of the air. So since air has less texture than other substances, we often imagine moving through water. So this is similar where we're now moving through mud. It's actually an added texture, more tension of texture to move through mud. This should allow a sensation to occur in the body. And so again, this power of visualization or the power of the mind affects our physiology. The best example really is one that my circle uses. And it's if you imagine yourself eating a lemon. And as soon as you imagine yourself eating a lemon, your saliva should begin to flow. And that's the power of abiding in, of visualizing, of existing in. So as soon as the mind creates an image, our body responds physiologically to the point where we're actually producing saliva. And that's what I mean about the power of the mind to take something formless, which is a thought, and transform it into something with substance, such as a liquid, which is saliva. And that's how our emotions work. If we experience an emotion, our body has a physical reaction. So let's bring it back. And we can come hold that ball of light. Let's expand one more time here at the lower dantian level and compress inwards. And then we're going to take that ball of light, that accumulation of whatever it might be, and we're going to close one hand over the other, store that into the lower dantian. And take one breath here, inhale, exhale. Good. So I don't know if you were able to feel some chi.
Yeah, I could definitely feel some energy from that. And yeah, I was curious, like, what do you recommend to keep building on that, if assuming most people are feeling something, but like want to really deepen that sense of connection with the energy flow?
Yeah, so to deepen, you can simply continue with those basic practices. Very helpful, again, if you warm up the chi and the blood in the palms before trying, and you use that method of tension and then relaxation. The other important part of it is consistency. So an accumulation, right? So we did it once today. Maybe you did or didn't feel anything. It's all okay still. Do it again tomorrow. and then again the day after. And within 3 days, I do believe an accumulation can occur. Even if you didn't feel it day 1, day 2, possibly on day 3, you will feel it. Now, when I first did this, I did a 100-day seated meditation practice where I couldn't miss a day. If you miss a day, you have to subtract 3 days, and kind of going forward like that. It doesn't take 100 days to feel it, but it would take 100 days to truly gain something that you can hold on to. You stop. Yeah.
That keeps you motivated to subtract 3 days each time. So at least you didn't have to start over at the beginning. But
yeah.
Yeah. So how does this work with so the seated practice and working with energy and sensing it work with the more of the traditional standing practices as well?
It's predominantly the same. We typically do standing meditation in the morning because it's more physically active. In the mornings, it's good to wake up and move the body, move the qi in the blood, because it has been still all night long, right, while we're sleeping and laying down. And then, people can do seated or standing at any time of day, but we typically do it in the morning, and then standing in the morning and then seated meditation at night. You can do this as a seated meditation, and that will create more of an inward focus of the mind. Whereas standing, I find, has more physiological effect on the body. It's just a little more active, but all the principles are really the same. And I demonstrated it seated in this way on a stool just for anyone who has trouble standing for long periods of time, if they have pain or for whatever reason. You don't have to necessarily be in a seated meditation, but you can be seated with the spine aligned and practice these energy arts too.
I'd love for you to just connect a little bit of what we were doing more with the longevity philosophy and how this is tying into sort of laying principles for longer term health of your body.
Yeah, well, so it's really that everything is related and everything aligns. So like I was saying, even though right in this moment, we might be attempting to feel qi in our palms for, empowerment of an object or a hands-on healing technique, it just so happens that that is also what's going to preserve the health of our fingers, wrists, forearms, our ability to continue to have dexterity through our hands without pain. So it's kind of just like that Yang Sheng principle becomes that health is just a byproduct of your path, right? And I think that, I chose this again to introduce to the audience today because I think it really can give folks a sense of accomplishment and traction, and we build upon our faith by what we can feel and what we can see. And so if we can't feel it, if we can't see it, there's always going to be a slight confusion or doubt or disconnect from what we're doing. But if we can really feel it, I think that's a huge motivating factor to keep people doing this daily Yang Sheng practice. Now, Yang Sheng Qigong doesn't necessarily hinge on feeling qi in the palm of the hand. This is actually the content of the final module of the Yang Sheng Qigong course. And I placed it there because the Yang Sheng Qigong course is an introductory course that allows you to move on to the advanced course, where we get into more of the Taoist ritual arts that do have a foundation of this building up of qi in your own practice. We call it gong. It's also really just your personal power. It's that accumulation that we keep talking about of this insubstantial, formless, becoming form qi that we're working with. And so it's almost like it's the bridge, right, from the end of the Yang Sheng practice and into more advanced practices. I think of Yang Sheng as the foundation for everything that comes after. So in order to move into more advanced energy techniques, we need a foundation of a healthy body and clarity of mind, balanced emotions. So I teach Yang Sheng Qigong as the the entry form to all of my students that allows them to have a reset wherever they're at in their physical health or in their mind or emotions. I run them through the Yang Sheng Qigong steps 1, 2, and 3, and it regulates the body and it gives a reset, and it allows everyone to come into a balanced place for more advanced technique.
Well, I think this is a good moment to talk more explicitly about the upcoming course you're teaching with the Yang Sheng practices. And so the name of this program that Lindsey will be teaching for Shift is called The Taoist Art of Longevity with Wudang Qigong, Cultivating Vital Qi, Balance, and Inner Strength Through Ancient Yang Sheng Practices. And you can find it at the URL longevityqigongcourse.com, longevityqigongcourse.com. It's a 7-week program and really lays these key foundations of being able to apply the Wudang Qigong practices to increasing your life and health span. So, Lindsey, I'd love for you to share some of your intentions for this upcoming course, and then let's go through the modules.
Yeah, so my intentions are really to give everyone this treasure of movements. I think that these movement sets are important to have because they're like a vessel for our cultivation. It's somewhere where we can store our cultivation, something that we can always come back to. And that's why I really think of this Yang Sheng Qigong form or set as a treasure of the Twin Yang sect. And it's something that I come back to over and over again for my health. It's extremely efficacious. Everyone will be able to feel the effect within 1 to 3 days. And even if they leave it behind for some time, when they return to it, they'll feel the effects even faster. And so really the modules, we're just going to be moving through all of the fundamental principles of Yang Sheng through sets 1, 2, and 3. And, kind of to speak to that, the importance of having sets that you remember for your whole life rather than learning a new set after a new set after a new set. I always think of something that my shifu told me, which is, it's a saying in Chinese where, if a monkey grabs one banana, stores it under the armpit, and then he goes to grab another one, stored under the armpit, every time he puts a new one under, he loses the previous one. So it's to say not to do too much all the time, to really have core practice that you can return to, and that is worth more than having 1,000 different practices. So I think that's also a principle of Yang Sheng, simplicity.
Mm-hmm. Module 1 is called Awaken Life, Energy, and Longevity to Stay Light and Free.
Yeah, module 1 is, again, we're going to introduce the set. We're going to go through the bone marrow washing warm-up, and we'll go into the principles of a Yang Sheng lifestyle. So how to adjust, your environment, your worldview, your habits.
Module 2, Harmonize Duality by supporting your yin and yang energy.
In module 2, there's a special arm movement that is said to support yin and yang. And what that really means is that we're going to explore, again, a sensation and an awareness of our magnetic field around the body. So students will start to be able to feel their own magnetic field and the way that energy flows inside of that.
Module 3, experience 7-star tapping to detoxify your body's meridians.
7-star tapping is a method that detoxifies the body. There's almost always some type of tapping method in a Qigong set because it's very stimulating to the surface of the skin and then penetrating deeper and deeper. This particular one is really wonderful because it's very simple. It emphasizes 7 areas only. And so it's another treasure of the Twin Yang sect for detoxing the body.
Module 4, cultivate intention and presence with integrated prayer and movement.
In module 4, we introduce a movement that integrates intention via bowing to the sun and the moon. And so it brings in that Taoist coevolution with Taoist ritual art. where the movements are actually mimicking the bowing that a Taoist would do at the altar.
Super cool. Module 5 then goes into strengthen your spine and fascial matrix with breath work.
The Yang Sheng Qigong set has a special breathing technique that we'll learn in this module, and it sends qi throughout the connective tissue or the fascial matrix, where qi is often traveling through, and so it becomes like a pump from the dantian, transforming air that we breathe into a type of qi that we can accumulate and use to strengthen the body.
Module 6, fortify the foundation by strengthening your kidneys and detoxifying the lungs.
In Module 6, we learn a special movement called the golden turtle shining its back. And it has a lot of motions through the lower back that are going to fortify the kidneys. And it opens up the chest, uses a special breathing method to fortify the lungs.
And finally, Module 7, purify your microcosmic orbit and develop qi for advanced healing.
And so in this final module, like I was mentioning, we're going to explore deeper and in a more complex way some of the movements that I introduced today, again, as a transition into the advanced course and more advanced energy technique.
Well, it's clearly going to be such an illuminating and practical and I think fun program as well to practice with you. So again, it's all at longevityqigongcourse.com. If you choose to move forward, you're going to get not only those 7 90-minute live sessions with Lindsey, which are a great time to engage in the practices together, also ask your questions live. You'll also get recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts. There are weekly practices you can do at home, which are really going to deepen your embodiment of this work, as well as a community to support you and create community. There's also small group time to connect with other participants. And on the page, you'll also see a number of extra bonuses, each of which Lindsey has agreed to offer as a way to deepen this course. There's a video meditation called the Column of Light. You want to share more about that bonus?
Yeah, so this is a part of my meditation series where I teach a lot of seated meditation techniques. The Column of Light is a visualization meditation where we do a body scan and a body purification using this light that we have access to that connects us to heaven and the center of the earth.
That's a great bonus. And there's a second bonus with that's on Yang Sheng lifestyle lecture, and it's by Lishu Shifu. So you want to share more about that?
Yeah, so this is the one and only broadcast that has ever occurred. It was to an audience of 300 plus, almost 400 people, where Li Shifu was broadcasting from within the Five Immortals Temple and delivered a lecture on Yang Sheng, or this longevity life cultivation principles. And he goes into, again, just these very basic ways that we can change our lifestyle and our habits that deeply affect our health.
Great. Well, that's a great bonus right there. And then there's one more bonus, which is a special bonus folks get when you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. This is a video recording with Lindsey called Rhythm Detox Method Mini Workshop. Want to share more about that bonus they get today?
Yeah, this rhythm detox method is also a PIDA or tapping method that stimulates 20 acupuncture points from head to toe and is highly purifying. It can heal many ailments. I've had it work for just like tinnitus in my ears, all kinds of different things because it stimulates 20 points. And in this mini workshop, it's the 20-minute follow along that explains the actions and indications of each point, their location, and you can follow along with the method of how to tap all of these points on your body.
Very cool. Well, that's a great extra bonus and a great reason to sign up today, the Rhythm Detox Method Mini Workshop. Well, it's clearly going to be such a powerful program. We've kept the investment very accessible. It's just 3 payments of $128, or save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start January 14th. So it's a great way to kick off your new year and really get into a rhythm in those early months that is going to feed you for the whole rest of the year. The course sessions will be on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the transcripts, and the community as well. So there's some great testimonials from people who have done programs with Lindsey in the past, including at Shift, and really so much reward from engaging these practices. So you can benefit from all of her years of study in the Wudang Mountains and to really transmit this very deep and ancient lineage to the West. And you will, I think, experience many health benefits and longevity benefits, and just overall just harmonize your system and health for a sometimes tumultuous world. So again, all the details are at longevityqigongcourse.com, longevityqigongcourse.com. So Lindsey, it's been great to be with you. Anything that you still want to share about your upcoming course on the Taoist Art of Longevity with Wudang Qigong, the Yang Sheng practices that you want to share before we close?
Yeah, I would love to share a quote from the Tao Te Ching. And it's a quote, it's chapter 44, and I'll read it in just a moment. But I chose this chapter of the Tao Te Ching because it refers directly to Yang Sheng, or life cultivation. And I think it speaks directly to, I think, what is the most challenging part of Yang Sheng, which is actually changing our lifestyle, changing our worldview in a manner that isn't, again, that which is prescribed to us from society. So it's a lovely chapter. I'll go ahead and read it now. Again, verse 44, this is a translation by Jonathan Starr of the Tao Te Ching. One's own reputation, why the fuss? One's own wealth, why the concern? I say, what you gain is more trouble than what you lose. Love is the fruit of sacrifice. Wealth is the fruit of generosity. Be content, rest in your own fullness. You will not suffer from loss. You'll avoid the snare of this world. You'll have long life and endless blessings. Yeah, and so I think just to leave the audience with this note that we do have this finite experience of life, and it's worth preserving and protecting it. So I hope that I'll be able to share those techniques with everyone.
Well, thank you for sharing those techniques and your wisdom today, and a great way to close as well. So Lindsey, you're a blessing. Thank you all for joining. And if you'd like to go further, you're welcome to do so at longevityqigongcourse.com, and you'll get that special rhythm detox method mini workshop when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you.